Chapter 1. The Day the Stars Changed. The endless void of space stretched infinitely, studded with pinpricks of distant suns and swirling nebulae. But none of those faraway lights compared to the brilliance that now hovered above Zyphar, the capital world of the Virellian Empire. It was a planet renowned across the galaxy not only for its breathtaking sapphire oceans and sprawling emerald forests, but for its extraordinary technological marvels and centuries-old legacy of political power. At the heart of Zyphar, the imperial palace floated like a colossal gemstone, suspended by ancient gravitational fields and shimmering with layers of iridescent energy shields that flickered softly in the late afternoon light. The palace's spires pierced the sky, their crystalline surfaces refracting sunlight into a kaleidoscope of colors that danced across the horizon, a radiant symbol of hope and stability in a galaxy teetering on the edge of chaos. Inside the throne room, a cavernous chamber carved from translucent minerals, the gathered dignitaries, generals, and diplomats from countless star systems held their collective breath. The air was heavy, filled with a delicate mix of anticipation and unspoken fear. Queen Seraphis stood at the center of the grand dais, her lithe figure draped in regal robes woven from the rarest fibers of the Virellian silk groves. Her skin, a shimmering cascade of silver scales that glowed faintly with bioluminescent patterns, reflected the soft light around her, casting a surreal glow that seemed almost otherworldly. Her eyes' deep pools of liquid amethyst surveyed the assembly with serene authority. To her people, she was not merely a monarch, but the living embodiment of their unity, their strength, and their dreams. She had inherited a throne fraught with internal strife and external threats, yet her reign had already begun to bring hope where despair once dwelled. The day was meant to be a celebration, a reaffirmation of peace and power, but beneath the polished veneer of ceremony, the currents of rebellion stirred darkly. There had been whispers for months, hushed talks in shadowed corridors, coded transmissions in the dead of night, and signs of unrest simmering in the outer provinces. The enemies of the Virellian dynasty were many disgruntled nobles, separatist factions, and mercenaries hungry for power. They saw this moment not as a coronation, but as the perfect opportunity to strike. And strike they did, with deadly precision. As the queen raised her hand to accept the crown, a sharp report split the air, followed by the shrill wail of alarms that shattered the court's fragile silence. In the blink of an eye, chaos erupted. The pristine floor of the throne room trembled as security forces scrambled to respond to the sudden assault. From hidden perches and unseen vents, mercenaries armed with advanced plasma rifles opened fire, their shots slicing through the air with lethal intent. The dignitaries screamed and dove for cover, the luminous crystal pillars splintering under the barrage. Yet amid the pandemonium, one figure stood rooted in place: Marcus. He was a human, an anomaly in this distant world of scaled aliens and bioengineered wonders. Marcus had arrived on Zyphar barely 3 months prior, an unassuming soldier of fortune hired initially as a tactical consultant by the Queen's advisors. His origins were humble. Born on Earth, the last of the ancient Terran civilizations, he carried with him a resilience honed through years of hardship and war. Unlike many interstellar mercenaries who relied on flashy tech or brute force, Marcus possessed a calm pragmatism and an uncanny ability to adapt under pressure. Yet today, none of that prepared him for what was about to unfold. The Queen was in immediate danger, a bullet hurtling through the air toward her slender frame with deadly speed. Marcus didn't hesitate. Without thought, without a flicker of doubt, he stepped forward, raising a compact energy shield scavenged from a derelict battlesuit he'd found months earlier on a forgotten battlefield. The shield, barely tested and considered experimental, hummed to life with a translucent blue shimmer, instantly intercepting the projectile with a violent crackle of energy. The impact sent a shockwave through Marcus's arm and shoulder, but his stance remained firm, his gaze locked on the Queen. The throne room fell momentarily silent as every eye turned to witness the impossible. Here was a human, a species often dismissed as primitive and inconsequential, standing as an unyielding barrier between death and the sovereign of a mighty empire. The bullet had been just one among many, but Marcus's singular act of bravery shifted the tides of the attack. The mercenaries faltered, confused and enraged that their perfect strike had been thwarted by a lone outsider. Queen Seraphis, heart pounding yet composed, took a step back, her eyes meeting Marcus's with a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. For the first time in centuries, hope rekindled in the eyes of those who witnessed this moment. Security forces rallied around Marcus and the Queen, systematically pushing back the attackers, sealing vents and corridors with swift precision. Yet, the danger was far from over. This assassination attempt was only the first act of a larger conspiracy that threatened not just the Virellian throne, but the fragile peace of an entire sector. As Marcus helped guide the Queen to a secure chamber deep within the palace's core, his mind raced. He knew this was no ordinary rebellion. It was orchestrated by shadows from beyond the Empire, factions with access to forbidden technologies and ancient vendettas. Within the safety of the sanctuary, Queen Seraphis finally allowed herself to breathe. Her voice, calm but resolute, cut through the tense silence. "You saved my life today, Marcus. But I need more than just a soldier. I need a mind as sharp as your courage. The path ahead is treacherous. Will you stand beside me as my Vizier, guiding the Empire through this storm?" Marcus, still absorbing the gravity of his actions and the enormity of the offer, nodded slowly. The shield he bore was not just a barrier of energy, it was a symbol now of a new alliance, a fusion of human grit and Virellian legacy. He was no longer just a hired soldier. He was bound by fate to the Queen and the future of her empire. As the distant echoes of the failed attack faded, the stars above Zyphar gleamed brighter than ever, heralding the dawn of a new era where an unlikely protector would shape the destiny of a galaxy. The palace's sanctuary was a place of silence and shadows, a stark contrast to the violent storm that had just ripped through the throne room. Marcus lowered his energy shield slowly, the blue glow fading as the last echoes of gunfire died away beyond the reinforced doors. His breath was steady, but his muscles still ached from the shock of impact. Around him, the Queen's trusted guards moved with practiced urgency, securing the area and tending to the wounded courtiers. Yet, despite the chaos, a fragile calm settled over the chamber. This was a moment of reprieve, a rare pause in a relentless war. Queen Seraphis approached Marcus, her eyes reflecting a complex mixture of emotions: gratitude, relief, and a hint of something deeper, curiosity. "Your courage is unmatched," she said softly, her voice a melodic blend of strength and warmth. "But bravery alone will not secure my reign. There are forces at work here that you cannot yet see, enemies who wield power beyond mere weapons." Her gaze fixed on him, as if searching for an answer within his soul. Marcus swallowed hard, aware that this was no longer just a battle of bullets and shields. This was a war of minds, of politics, and of ancient secrets. "Then tell me what you need," he replied, his voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "I'm not just a soldier. I want to protect you, your people, and if I can help, I will." The Queen's lips curved into a faint, approving smile. "That is why I offer you a position that few outsiders have ever held. As my Vizier, you will be my advisor, my strategist, and my shield in more ways than one. Your perspective is valuable, different from our own, yet vital for what lies ahead." Marcus nodded again, humbled yet resolute. He knew the risks, the political intrigues, the enemies that lurked within and beyond the palace walls, the burden of guiding an empire through darkness. But he also knew that this was a chance to be more than just a man with a shield. This was the chance to change history. The chamber's holoscreens flickered to life, casting ethereal light on ancient star maps and encrypted intelligence feeds. Around them, the palace hummed with a renewed urgency, as loyalists marshaled their forces and diplomats scrambled to understand the unfolding crisis. The Queen and Marcus stood side by side, their alliance forged not by blood or birthright, but by a shared commitment to survival and hope. As the first stars of night blinked into existence beyond the crystalline windows, a new chapter in the Virellian Empire saga was about to begin, one where an unlikely human would navigate treacherous politics, shadow wars, and the delicate balance of power between species, all while protecting the very heart of the alien throne. Chapter 2: Shadows Behind the Throne. The dawn brought little peace to the capital of Zyphar. News of the assassination attempt spread like wildfire, sparking unrest in the outer districts and whispers of rebellion in the high towers of power. Marcus sat across from Queen Seraphis in the strategy chamber, their faces illuminated by the glow of flickering star charts and streaming data. The weight of the Empire rested heavily on their shoulders, and the air was thick with tension and unspoken fears. Every move we make from this moment on will be watched, anticipated, and exploited, the Queen warned, her voice a quiet steel beneath the softness. Our enemies are not mere rebels. They are remnants of a forgotten order, those who believe the galaxy belongs to a select few, and that the Virellian way must be destroyed. She traced a path across the holographic map, pointing to sectors known for their unrest and secret strongholds deep beneath Zyfar's surface. They've infiltrated our ranks, corrupted officials, and weaponized forbidden technology. If we do not act swiftly, this empire will crumble from within. Marcus studied the map, his mind racing. His military training told him that a frontal assault was suicide. Too many variables, too many unknowns. Instead, what they needed was intelligence, truth hidden in shadows, alliances forged in secrecy. We need eyes and ears where no one expects us, he said. I'll start by assembling a team specialist skilled in infiltration, espionage, and technology. We'll root out the conspirators before they strike again. The Queen regarded him thoughtfully. Your Earth tactics may prove valuable. Our customs often slow us down in moments like these. But beware, our enemies have allies in places you might never imagine, even among those closest to me. That night, as the twin moons of Zyfar cast pale light across the palace gardens, Marcus walked alone through winding paths lined with iridescent flora. His thoughts were a tempest of strategy, loyalty, and an unsettling realization. He was no longer just an outsider or a mercenary. Here, in this alien world, he was becoming something far greater and far more vulnerable. The Empire's fate was entwined with his own, and with every step he took, the shadows behind the throne grew darker, waiting for the moment to strike again. The days that followed were a blur of whispered meetings, encrypted transmissions, and secret investigations that stretched Marcus's resolve to its limits. The palace, once a gleaming beacon of peace and stability, now felt like a labyrinth of suspicion and silent threats, where every smile could mask betrayal and every word might be a calculated lie. Marcus, newly appointed Vizier, found himself thrust into a world of intricate political webs spun over centuries, alliances forged and broken in shadows, and rival factions vying not only for power, but for survival. His human sensibilities, forged on the harsh battlefields of Earth's long-forgotten wars, gave him a unique perspective, but even he could feel the overwhelming weight of centuries-old grudges and alien traditions pressing down on him. The Queen's trust in Marcus was both a shield and a target. While many of her closest advisors viewed him with wary eyes, uncertain whether a human could truly grasp the delicate nuances of Virellian politics, Seraphis saw something different: raw honesty, unwavering loyalty, and an unyielding will to protect. Marcus's arrival had already begun to shift the balance of power within the court. Some nobles whispered of a foreign usurper, while others, desperate for a strong leader, quietly rallied to his cause. But the greatest threats were not in the open halls or glittering ballrooms. They lurked in the dimly lit underbelly of Zyfar, in forgotten tunnels and secret enclaves where enemies plotted beneath the surface. To root out these hidden foes, Marcus assembled a covert team, an eclectic group of operatives as diverse as the galaxy itself. There was Lyra, a Virellian assassin with eyes like molten gold and reflexes that could rival the fastest starship engines. Jax, a grizzled ex-smuggler whose knowledge of the Empire's black markets and underground networks was unmatched, and Saran, a cybernetic specialist whose neural implants allowed her to dive into digital realms with unparalleled skill. Together, they became the Queen's silent shield, moving unseen through the city's veins, intercepting encrypted messages and dismantling plots before they could bloom. Yet the deeper Marcus and his team dug, the more tangled the conspiracy became. Evidence pointed to a faction within the Queen's own council, ambitious and ruthless, who sought to seize control by igniting a civil war that would leave them rulers of the ashes. Worse still, fragments of forbidden alien technology artifacts capable of devastating power had resurfaced in the hands of these traitors, their origins as mysterious as their intent. Marcus knew that confronting such enemies required more than force. It demanded cunning, diplomacy, and the ability to anticipate moves before they were made. Amid this storm, Marcus found brief moments to observe Queen Seraphis beyond the throne's formalities. He saw the burden she bore, the weight of countless lives resting on her shoulders, the sacrifices made in silence, and the fierce determination that burned in her eyes. She was no mere ruler. She was a symbol of hope in a galaxy fractured by fear and ambition. Their alliance, born in the crucible of crisis, grew stronger with each passing day, tempered by shared victories and setbacks alike. But as Marcus navigated the treacherous currents of palace intrigue and rebellion, a chilling realization took hold. The rebellion was only the surface of a deeper, more ancient threat. Whispers of an alien cult, worshippers of forgotten gods and wielders of cosmic forces beyond comprehension, reached his ears. Their goals were inscrutable, their methods terrifying, and their reach vast. If they truly sought to overthrow the Queen and rewrite the fate of the Virellian Empire, Marcus understood that his shield, no matter how strong, would need allies far beyond the walls of the palace. Underneath the shimmering stars of Zyphar, Marcus resolved to prepare for a war unlike any he had faced before. This was not just a fight for a throne. It was a battle for the soul of a civilization and the destiny of the galaxy itself. As days turned into weeks, the web of intrigue tightened around Marcus and the Queen. The team he had assembled delved ever deeper into the Empire's hidden recesses, uncovering disturbing evidence of betrayal and arcane secrets that even the most seasoned Virellian scholars had feared to acknowledge. Ancient texts whispered of a secret society, the Obsidian Veil, a shadowy cult that had long been banished from official histories. They worshipped forgotten cosmic entities, promising their devotees immense power in exchange for allegiance and chaos. The Obsidian Veil had infiltrated the highest ranks of the imperial court, corrupting hearts and minds with promises of immortality and dominion over the stars. One evening, as the twin moons cast a silvery light through the towering windows of the war room, Marcus and Queen Seraphis pored over intercepted communications that hinted at an impending strike, a coup to coincide with a rare cosmic event known as the Celestial Convergence, when the energy flows of the galaxy would reach their zenith. It was a window of both vulnerability and power. The conspirators planned to harness this cosmic phenomenon to unleash devastation upon the palace and claim the throne for themselves. Seraphis's voice was steady but fierce. If we do not act before the convergence, the entire empire could fall into darkness. This is more than politics. It is a war for the very fabric of reality. Marcus's mind raced as he formulated a plan not only to thwart the coup, but to expose the cult's influence, rooting them out before their malevolent power could spread further. We'll need to unite those loyal to the Queen, even those hesitant to trust a human. This fight requires more than weapons, it requires belief, a common purpose. The following days saw a flurry of activity. Secret alliances were forged, elite guards trained in new tactics, and technology fused with ancient knowledge to create defenses capable of countering the cult's dark powers. Yet, in the shadows, Marcus could feel the growing presence of the Obsidian Veil like a cold breath against his neck, ever watchful, ever patient. Chapter 3: The Celestial Convergence. The night of the Celestial Convergence arrived with an eerie stillness that blanketed Zyphar. Stars shimmered brighter than ever, their light weaving patterns across the heavens like a cosmic tapestry alive with energy. Within the palace, the atmosphere was taut with anticipation and dread. Marcus stood at the Queen's side, clad not in armor but in the mantle of a Vizier, a role that demanded wisdom as much as courage. Around them, loyalists prepared for a battle unlike any other, one that would test their resolve and the strength of their alliance. The palace's defensive shields pulsed with a radiant glow, enhanced by ancient glyphs of protection etched into the crystalline walls. Yet, despite these formidable defenses, Marcus knew that the true battle would be fought in the realms unseen, within minds, shadows, and the very energies that bound the galaxy. As the first waves of the cultists emerged from hidden passages and secret portals scattered throughout Zyphar, their forms twisted and otherworldly, Marcus's team moved swiftly to intercept. Lyra, with her lethal precision, dismantled enemy cells with graceful efficiency, while Saran's cybernetic implants scrambled the dark magic-infused communications. Jax led squads through the labyrinthine underbelly, cutting off reinforcements and collapsing tunnels behind them. But it was clear this was no ordinary assault. The cultists wielded powers that bent reality, manifesting shadowy tendrils, warping time and space around them, and striking fear into even the bravest hearts. The air hummed with energy that felt ancient and malevolent, threatening to tear the palace apart from within. In the heart of the conflict, Marcus found himself face to face with the cult's enigmatic leader, a figure cloaked in swirling darkness, eyes blazing with unnatural light. The confrontation was not merely physical but a battle of wills, where Marcus's human spirit clashed against the corrosive influence of the Veil's dark cosmic powers. Shield raised, heart steady, Marcus defied the shadow, drawing strength from his loyalty to the Queen and the fragile hope of the Empire. The fight was brutal and exhausting, but the arrival of Queen Seraphis at his side turned the tide. Channeling the ancestral energy of her people, she unleashed a wave of radiant power that shattered the cult's grip on the palace. The shadowy leader faltered, then vanished into the cosmic void, leaving behind whispers of vengeance and the promise of return. As dawn broke over Zyphar, casting golden light upon a battered but unbroken empire, Marcus and Seraphis stood together victorious but aware that this was only the beginning. The celestial convergence had passed, but the war for the soul of the Virellian Empire and the fate of the galaxy was far from over. The aftermath of the battle within the palace was a haunting symphony of silence and scattered echoes. Broken crystal shards littered the floors of the once pristine throne room, their iridescent glow dimmed by the weight of recent violence. The air still vibrated faintly with residual energy, both the radiant power wielded by Queen Seraphis and the dark, corrupting force unleashed by the Obsidian Veil. Though the immediate threat had been repelled, Marcus knew the victory was as fragile as the thin glass separating their world from the abyss beyond. The celestial convergence, a rare cosmic event that had for millennia been revered and feared across countless civilizations, had proven to be a double-edged sword. It empowered the cultists with unnatural forces, allowing them to bend reality's fabric and strike with devastating precision. Yet it had also awakened within Seraphis a deeper connection to the ancient energies of her lineage, a primal strength born of the stars themselves. As she stood beside Marcus on the high balcony overlooking the city of Zyphar, her silver-scaled skin shimmered with renewed vitality, reflecting the twin moons that still lingered on the horizon. Her eyes, bright and fierce, held the weight of responsibility and the spark of defiance. "We have survived the night," she said quietly, her voice a mixture of exhaustion and unyielding determination. "But the Veil's shadows will not be so easily banished. They are patient, cunning." This battle was but a glimpse of the darkness still to come. Marcus nodded, the human soldier who had become her vizier feeling the heavy gravity of her words deep in his bones. Their power goes beyond technology or politics. It's a war for the very soul of this empire and perhaps the entire galaxy. We must prepare not just to fight, but to outthink them. Behind them, the palace stirred with the quiet hum of recovery. Wounded soldiers were tended, defensive protocols strengthened, and the Council of Elders convened in urgent sessions. Marcus's team worked tirelessly, decrypting captured communications and piecing together fragments of the cult's plans. The Obsidian Veil, it seemed, was not merely content with seizing the throne. They sought an ancient relic, a device rumored to amplify cosmic energies to godlike levels, a relic lost in the cataclysmic wars of ages past, but whispered about in forbidden texts. The search for this relic became Marcus's new obsession. If the cultists obtained it, their power would be unstoppable. If the Queen's forces found it first, it could become a beacon of hope, a weapon to safeguard the Empire's fragile peace. The days grew darker as political intrigues surged back with renewed vigor. Allies questioned their loyalties, and spies infiltrated even the most sacred chambers. Marcus found himself walking a razor's edge between trust and suspicion, between the brutal pragmatism of war and the delicate diplomacy of leadership. Yet, through it all, his bond with Seraphis deepened not only as ruler and vizier, but as two souls united by fate and necessity. One evening, as the twin moons cast elongated shadows through the palace corridors, Marcus was summoned to the Queen's private quarters. There, she revealed a revelation that shook him to his core. The relic was not just a weapon, but a key and ancient mechanism capable of awakening dormant cosmic forces scattered throughout the galaxy. Forces that could either save or doom countless worlds. "We stand at the brink of a new epoch," Seraphis said, her voice steady despite the storm brewing in her eyes. "The choices we make now will echo through time itself." Marcus felt the enormity of the moment. The battle was no longer simply about survival or power, it was about destiny, about the fragile balance between light and shadow, order and chaos. And as the stars above Zyphar continued their silent watch, he knew the true test of his courage and wisdom was only just beginning. The weight of the Queen's revelation settled heavily on Marcus's shoulders. The relic, this ancient key, was no mere artifact. It was a fulcrum upon which the fate of the galaxy would pivot. He pictured it, a device forged in an era before recorded history, infused with energies beyond comprehension, hidden away beneath layers of myth and protected by dangers only whispered about in the darkest corners of the Empire's archives. To seek it was to chase a promise of salvation, but also to dance with destruction itself. That night, Marcus sat alone in the dim glow of his chambers, staring at star maps and ancient schematics scattered across his desk. The palace was quiet, but outside, Zyphar's cityscape pulsed with uneasy energy. Political alliances were fragile, the court divided, and every move Marcus made was shadowed by unseen eyes. He knew that the Obsidian Veil's followers were already mobilizing, desperate to seize the relic before the Queen's forces could secure it. Time was a cruel enemy. His thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. Queen Seraphis entered, her expression unreadable beneath the soft silver light of the room. "You carry the burden well, Vizier," she said quietly, taking a seat beside him. "But remember, even the heaviest burden becomes lighter when shared." Marcus looked at her and saw not just a ruler, but a woman who bore the weight of countless lives, who faced cosmic horrors and political treachery with unbroken resolve. "I will not fail you," he vowed. "We will find this relic, and we will end this darkness." The Queen's eyes gleamed with determination. "Then we must act swiftly. I will dispatch envoys to secure ancient knowledge from allied worlds, and you will lead the expedition to the relic's last known location. The fate of the Empire and the galaxy rests in your hands." As the twin moons cast their last light across Zyphar, Marcus prepared himself for a journey into the unknown, a quest that would test every ounce of his courage, wit, and loyalty. Chapter 4. The Path of the Vizier. The ancient starship, named the Resolute in honor of the Empire's enduring spirit, glided silently through the void as Marcus and his chosen team embarked on their perilous quest. The ship's corridors echoed with quiet conversations and the hum of advanced machinery, but beneath the surface was a tension born of uncertainty. Each member of the crew understood the stakes. The relic's power could secure their future or plunge the galaxy into eternal darkness. Marcus took command with a steady hand, balancing military discipline with respect for his diverse crew, which included Lyra, Jax, Saran, and several scholars versed in ancient lore. Together, they charted a course to a forgotten world at the edge of Virellian space, a planet cloaked in mystery and long abandoned by history. There, they hoped to uncover the relic and the secrets it held. As the Resolute entered the planet's orbit, Marcus peered through the observation deck at a landscape shrouded in swirling mists and jagged mountains, ancient ruins sprawling beneath dense alien forests. The relic's last recorded coordinates lay buried within those ruins, guarded by traps, puzzles, and possibly worse, guardians left behind to protect the ancient power. Stepping onto the planet's surface, Marcus felt the crushing silence of ages past. The air was thick with the scent of forgotten civilizations, and every shadow seemed to hold a secret. The team moved carefully, their footsteps echoing against stone pillars etched with cryptic symbols. The deeper they ventured, the more Marcus realized that this was no ordinary relic hunt. It was a confrontation with history itself, with forces that transcended mortal understanding. Yet amid the darkness and danger, Marcus found unexpected hope. The loyalty of his companions, the unwavering strength of Queen Seraphis's vision, and his own relentless resolve fueled his steps forward. He knew the path would be treacherous, that enemies lurked both seen and unseen, but he also knew that in this moment, he was more than a soldier. He was the Empire's shield, its voice, and its light against the encroaching shadow. And so, with the relic's mysteries beckoning, Marcus embraced his destiny as the Queen's Vizier, ready to face the trials that would shape the fate of worlds. The ancient ruins sprawled before them like a sleeping giant, half swallowed by creeping vines and moss that whispered secrets of centuries long past. Marcus led the expedition with cautious steps, his senses heightened as every carved symbol and weathered pillar seemed to pulse faintly with a dormant energy and echo of the cosmic forces the relic once commanded. The air was thick with a strange stillness, as if the planet itself was holding its breath, watching the intruders with silent vigilance. The team moved as a tight unit, their combined expertise crucial for navigating the labyrinthine halls of the Forsaken Temple complex. Lyra's agility and stealth kept them safe from lurking predators and hidden traps, while Saran's cybernetic implants scanned for energy signatures and encoded defenses woven into the very walls. Jax's uncanny knowledge of alien smuggling routes and black markets proved unexpectedly useful, guiding them past areas rife with ancient booby traps that had claimed countless explorers before them. Yet, the greatest challenge lay ahead. The chamber rumored to house the relic was protected by a puzzle not merely of logic or engineering, but one that tested the very soul of those who dared approach. Ancient holographic glyphs flickered to life as Marcus approached the massive stone doorway, casting eerie blue light across the etched carvings of stars, constellations, and cryptic runes. The air hummed with latent power, thick enough to make the hairs on his arms stand on end. As Marcus reached out to touch the door, a voice echoed in his mind, a resonance from the relic itself, a challenge spoken in a language beyond words but understood deep within his consciousness. It spoke of balance, light and darkness, order and chaos, the eternal dance of creation and destruction. To proceed, Marcus would need not only intellect but unwavering conviction, purity of purpose, and an acceptance of sacrifice. He glanced back at his companions, their faces reflecting determination mixed with apprehension. Together, they began to unravel the ancient code-deciphering star alignments, interpreting celestial myths, and aligning the doorway's runes with the cosmic patterns of the celestial convergence. Hours passed as they worked in synchrony, every discovery bringing them closer to the relic and the destiny it promised. When the final symbol clicked into place, the massive stone door groaned and slowly slid open, revealing a chamber bathed in radiant light unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. At its center stood the relic, a crystalline orb suspended within an intricate lattice of alien metals and energy filaments, pulsating with the raw power of stars. It radiated a warmth and intensity that was almost overwhelming, as if the cosmos itself was contained within its core. Marcus stepped forward, reaching out cautiously. The moment his fingers brushed the orb's surface, a surge of energy coursed through him, visions of the past and future intertwined, showing the rise and fall of empires, the birth of stars, and the fragile threads that connected all life in the galaxy. The relic was not just a weapon or tool. It was a living archive, a beacon of hope and a warning of doom. But even as he stood transfixed, a chilling presence descended upon the chamber. The cult's shadowy leader, thought vanquished, reappeared, his form wreathed in darkness, eyes burning with rage and hatred. The final confrontation was upon them. Marcus raised his shield once more, the energy field shimmering against the dark tendrils that lashed out like living shadows. The battle was fierce and unrelenting, light clashing with darkness in a cosmic struggle echoing the very balance the relic embodied. His companions fought valiantly alongside him, each strike pushing back the cult's relentless assault. In the end, it was Marcus's unyielding spirit and the Queen's distant but potent connection to the relic that tipped the scales. With a final, radiant surge of energy, the shadow dissolved, banished beyond the veil of existence. The chamber fell silent once more, the relic's glow settling into a calm, steady pulse. As Marcus turned to his team, Exhaustion etched into every line of his face. He knew their journey was far from over. The relic was secured, but the true challenge lay ahead, returning it safely to the Queen and wielding its power wisely to heal the fractures in their empire. He was no longer just a shield against bullets. He was the protector of a legacy, the bearer of cosmic responsibility, and the steadfast vizier of a queen whose fate was forever entwined with his own. The journey back to Zyphar was fraught with tension, the atmosphere aboard the Resolute thick with exhaustion and unspoken anticipation. Every star outside the observation window seemed to bear witness to the fragile hope they carried home, a hope born of the relic's ancient power and the resilience of a small, determined group led by an unlikely human vizier. Marcus stood at the helm, eyes fixed on the swirling patterns of Zyphar's atmosphere as the palace planet slowly came into view, gleaming beneath the protective shield of the galaxy's most intricate defenses. The moment they docked, the palace erupted into controlled chaos. Messages spread quickly. The relic was safe, the obsidian veil was vanquished, at least for now, and a new chapter was dawning for the Empire. Queen Seraphis awaited them in the Grand Hall, her presence as commanding and serene as ever, but with an undeniable spark of pride shining in her amethyst eyes as she greeted Marcus and his team. "This relic is a gift and a responsibility," she declared to the assembled council and dignitaries. "With it, we shall rebuild what was broken and protect our future from the shadows that seek to consume it. And it is with great honor that I recognize Marcus not just as my vizier, but as the shield of this empire, a symbol that courage and loyalty know no bounds, not even those of species or birthright." Marcus felt the weight of her words settle upon him, a mantle heavier than any armor he had ever worn, yet charged with meaning deeper than any battlefield honor. He looked out over the crowd, the alien nobles who had once doubted him, the loyalists who had fought beside him, and the people of Zyphar whose fate now seemed brighter. In that moment, the line between human and Virellian, outsider and sovereign, blurred beneath the shining stars of a united empire. But Marcus knew peace was a fragile thing. The Obsidian Veil's defeat was not the end, but a reprieve. Darkness lingered at the edges of the galaxy, ancient and patient. The relic's power was immense, but it required wisdom and vigilance. As vizier, Marcus vowed to stand guard not just as a warrior, but as a guardian of hope and unity. Days later, as the twin moons rose again over the palace, Marcus and Queen Seraphis stood side by side on the highest balcony, gazing out at the sprawling cityscape alive with renewed life and purpose. "We have faced the abyss and returned," Seraphis said softly. "But our greatest trials lie ahead. With you by my side, I have no doubt we will endure." Marcus smiled, a rare moment of peace washing over him. "Together, we are stronger than any darkness." And so, beneath the glittering stars of Zyphar, the unlikely alliance of human courage and alien nobility forged a new legacy, one where shields were not just made of energy, but of trust, sacrifice, and the enduring light of hope. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a protector unlike any other, the vizier who had stepped into the storm and emerged a beacon for all. The stars, ancient and eternal, continued their silent vigil as a new era began, an era shaped by a human who dared to stand in front of bullets to save an alien queen, and in doing so, became the heart of her empire.